Breaking news this morning in the pharmaceutical sector. Eli Lilly shares are plunging. They're down 15% after the company announced that it is abandoning its Alzheimer's drug after a late-stage study failed to reach its goals. Joining us right now is Barclays Analyst Geoffrey Meacham. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. Your reaction to what's happening this morning?
Thanks, Maria, for having me, and happy Thanksgiving.
And
yeah,
to
so
you.
it's obviously a disappointment that the solanezumab data failed. There weren't many investors that were thinking this was going to be a big driver for Lilly. Clearly, it was something that was assumed in the stock here, but there is a fundamental case beyond just Sola and Lilly's CNS business.
In terms of the other drugs that are under development, because solanezumab, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Jeff, there were earlier negative studies on it, on this particular drug, and negative studies on these amyloid busters, if you will. So how many other drugs by other companies would be impacted by this decision?
I think by far and away investors will look to Biogen. So Biogen has a drug called aducanumab, which is in several phase 3 programs. It is a beta amyloid antibody. It acts a little bit differently, though. Without getting too much into the weeds on the science, it binds clusters of beta amyloid as opposed to monomeric or single protein A beta like Lilly solanezumab. But beyond that, though, there are a lot of other exciting mechanisms of action in Alzheimer's. So you have a mechanism called a BACE inhibitor, which inhibits production of amyloid beta. There are also other mechanisms that look at targets such as tau in Alzheimer's. So still a lot of innovation to come, but clearly Sola was the latest stage, was the most mature phase 3 out there.
Jeff, other than Biogen, are there public companies to watch that are involved in development here for Alzheimer's?
So Merck is the only other one that is in later stage, and Biogen's partner is Eisai as well. But Merck's BACE inhibitor, could have some data in the second half of next year. Beyond that, there are a couple of smaller companies in the biotech. Alzheimer is one in the biotech space. But for the most part, though, it's the pharma and large cap biotechs that are really the bigger players here.
Jeff, they're all plunging this morning. Is this move warranted? Do you think this is the right reaction?
I think clearly there is from a sentiment perspective. The stock should be down. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lilly rebound a little bit because, there is, as I said, there is still a lot of innovation in the pipeline in the industry itself. But for Lilly in particular, though, this company can still grow, revenue in the 5–6% range for the next several years. So there is clearly a fundamental case beyond Sola.
And in terms of Alzheimer's in general, I mean, where's the hope here?
I would say that one of the biggest uncertainties here, and we'll see at this, there's a medical meeting called the CTAD meeting, which is in early December in San Diego. But we'll see whether the new technology, which is called a PET imaging, so you can actually, in real time, you can determine a patient's beta amyloid plaque burden. And that was one of the new tricks that Lilly used in their trial, is to figure out you had to have a positive PET scan test to go into the study. So we'll see if that technology played a major role here. If it didn't, maybe back to the drawing board for beta amyloid antibodies, but perhaps technology that could be used down the road.
It is just broadly speaking, because everybody is touched by Alzheimer's,
yes,
with the millions of people suffering from it, Jeff, that there isn't a drug to slow the progression of the actual disease. There's some that treat symptoms, but not actually slowing the disease yet.
That's exactly right, and that's why these drugs were really unique in that they targeted what's called prodromal or mild patients with Alzheimer's. So they had some cognition defects, some cognition pathologies, but weren't quite very, very severe patients. But there are, as I said, there are a lot of other novel mechanisms that are coming out. The problem is that they're just much earlier stage.
Right.
What about Prevagen? I see Prevagen advertised a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of the drugs out there today, there are drugs approved.
Yeah.
The issue is that they treat the symptoms of disease, and they, for the most part, they've been developed for more later stage patients.
All right, Jeff, great insights. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Jeff.
Yep, you're welcome.
We appreciate it. Geoffrey Meacham there, Barclays.